You come into being or existence visually or physically as a result of the invisible makings of you. Okay, so understand that you exist on all layers of this cosmic egg in different forms. And it is the meshing together of all these forms that actually creates the physical you. Okay, the projection of all of that. So back when we talking about the lower and higher self, just to give you more of an example of what that would play out like, understand that the lower self is not a bad thing, okay? When we talk about the lower, it's just part of the duality, part of the polarity, okay? It's the yin and the yang. So you want to vibrate high and low. You want to be balanced. You want to be in a midpoint. That's what heaven is. When you say balance, again, we're talking about the soul, the battery, okay? Because to be balanced is to be like that yin yang 50-50 with the sun and moon making that circuit. To be a 360, all right, is to be balanced. When you look at the Merkaba, you got one vessel pointing up, one pointing down. That's 50-50 balance. That's the way you got to be. If it's just one vibrating high, then that's just a pyramid. You got to have the one vibrating low connected with it so you can even make that midpoint, that hex in the middle to create existence. Now I'm finna say something very important. Finna break down to y'all the significance of the word or. We use it all the time in language. Now I really want y'all to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you and then tie it in to what I'm about to teach you about or. Remember in the movie Matrix, for Neo to break out of the matrix, he had to visit the oracle. He had to visit this lady called the oracle. Okay, that's that midpoint. That oracle. And remember, I already broke down on you what the matrix is, the trick of the ma. And he had to go and visit the oracle, all right, to break out of the matrix. So keep this concept in mind. Now I'm finna break down on you what or means. So you don't want to be this or that. You want to be the or in the middle, because the or in the middle is the organization. That's when you get organized, okay? And now you're living healthy and you're living balanced. You got proper health in all of your organs, okay? And all of them working balance and together, and ain't one overworking the other one. So everything is balanced, because when one organ overworks itself, then that's when you get out of control. So everything is about balance, and you want to be, like I said, not this or that. Stay in the middle and be the or. That's the 360. The first letter in or is the O, or the zero, the point again of singularity. At that point, that midpoint, the X create again, you can go either up or down. But by choosing neither, you stay in the midpoint at the or, and that's how you become an organism. So you in the midpoint called the earth, and you an organism. And for you to get here, somebody had to have an orgasm. Two people had to have an orgasm, and you became the midpoint based on that or. All right, so when we say this or that, it's the or in the middle. And like I said, the earth is in the center of the universe because it's the plane of existence for all of those organisms who came here on the midplane through the orgasms. See, they could have been in heaven or in the underworld, but they in the earth, which is the or, okay, which is the place in between the underworld and heaven, okay? So again, when you don't segment the reality, you can see all of this stuff I'm telling you, and you can start to decode your reality and see it in a holistic way. Because when we talking about or, that's the same thing that the sun and the moon doing. They on a constant orbit. So they constantly in that or, in that midpoint. They creating a constant midpoint that's creating eternity, that's aiding in that vortex energy that's being created at the pole by these orbits, okay? The or is what ties everything together. It works even in the way we talk. The midpoint is very important. So think about what I was telling you previously about the radius in the middle of the circle is actually the bow and arrow. When you look at a bow and arrow, it's half of the circle. That's what it's showing you. So in the middle of that circle, there's energy there. So when you split the circle and create an actual bow and arrow in life, when you stretch it back out, since it's a wooden arch on one end and a rubber part or whatever on the other end, it can't hold that form that it should hold. So that energy that would have been in the middle actually makes the arrow go out. So what I'm saying about this midpoint is real deep. When you look at a circle, that midpoint would be the bow and arrow. Now, if I take two bow and arrows and turn them back to back, you get the planet Saturn. It's just a zero with a circle. That's the way the earth is made. So that's why when we talk about the sun and moon being solar disk and they're in orbits, they're creating a circle, and we call circles spheres. Based on these two-dimensional circuits in these solar disks, it's a building block. So all of these two-dimensional objects create a three-dimensional cosmic egg, but we live inside of the egg. So the ground beneath you is two-dimensional, and the sun and moon was said to be two-dimensional translucent discs, and they're going in a spiral pattern. So instead of a two-dimensional circle, a spiral pattern, creating a three-dimensional shell around this cosmic egg. Pole is stemming from the middle, just like a pineapple has the stalk running through the middle, and all of the fruit extends outward as it grows. And you notice that the skin of the pineapple is shaped like honeycombs. And I'm gonna be doing plenty of experiments around the house just to show y'all how this symbolism works out in our daily lives. So we gotta get into a balanced mind state and get out of the this or that mentality. It's all about the or. So when you say this or that, you want to be in the middle. You want to be at the or. Now again, the lower self would refer to stuff like how food tastes, how good the sex was, whereas the higher self is more into the sacred aspect of the food. So you begin to see the messages in nature by studying the seed and the design of the creations, looking at the apple, instead of how good it tastes, or instead of how good the orgasm was, the higher self is the part that'll just look into her eyes with pure love, not even thinking about sex. See, that's the part that makes you get married, as opposed to just the orgasm, which is the end result, or should be the end result of the mindgasm. Now let me repeat that again. The orgasm should only be the end result of the mindgasm. Like the rap group Dead Prayers said, they said we can have mindsets. We ain't got to take our clothes off yet. So that's what I'm talking about. That's when you make the connection with her heart. That's when, okay, even after the orgasm has took place, I still can't get enough of you. You see, that's where you need the balance. But what if you took the orgasm away and you just had the mindsets? See, the orgasm gives you the physical expression, the manifestation out in the flesh, where you now can create other life, and everything can continue in the physical form. It's going to continue on in the mental form too, because once you bond with a person and y'all become one, y'all keep meeting back up on this earth plane. The energies of those people will be reattracted. A lot of these couples and people in love will tell you all the time it feel like they always knew each other. Okay, so but we'll get into that deeper in future videos also. So understand that the lower self ain't bad. It's the part of you that gives the physical expression. The spiritual part of you has a part in this too, because that's the part of you that look into her eyes and don't want to be with nobody else. But the physical aspect to it is when you do that, now you want to show that love physically, so you have sex. That would be the lower form of it all. But it doesn't mean that it's something that's tainted or it's evil. The low is holy, just like the high. See, both of these polarities is just like the battery, the negative and positive, that give you the midpoint. When you balance them out, you get the power. So you need that good sex, and you also need that good, romance, that spiritual, that mindgasm, all right, which should take place before the orgasm. The earth is magnetic, is attractive, so it attracts you here. That's the beauty of the mother, all right? And this is where you come, like they said, the earth plane would be what they said, the 360, the flat disc circle. The 360 is the same thing as the square. You see, both of those are 360. So they say it's the prison, or the cube is not a prison, it's a heaven. Earth is the place, the midpoint, where consciousness can experience creation. Because long as it's not here, then consciousness is always trying to get here. Okay, this is where it all happened. This is the stage, people. This is what they don't want y'all to know. The world only feel like it's moving because they sped us up and put us on their clock and took us off the Most High's clock. See, the sky is a clock. We don't even look up anymore. We just look in books filled with fake illustrations and foolish theories. Now the hex is only the heart of the earth, or the Merkaba, just like your heart is at your midsection, as I explained previously. Earth and heart is the same thing. It's the midpoint. point. It's the place where it all happens. It's the stage. So like I said, the word earth and heart are the same letters arranged in different ways. I've been telling y'all that in previous ones. Now, understand that it's always at the center of the cosmos when we talk about the earth, because the earth is the heart, just like your heart is at the center of your cosmos, of your vessel or your body. The ancestors taught that the earth was at the center of the cosmos, and the word earth and heart are the same word. It just means the midpoint, the place where life take place. Your heart is the place in your body, your midpoint, that sustains the entire body. You can live without your brain, but not your heart. It's always at the center, the earth and the heart. Now understand that this beehive, what we're talking about, what we call the cosmos, is the whole complete hive, okay? And inside of that hive is the earth plane. So the entire hive is the cosmos. When you go inside of the hive, you'll notice that the floor is made of this same hexagon that's at the middle of your Merkaba. So the actually earth plane inside of their hive is the cone, the grid, the flat plane that we walk upon. Like I said, if it was a globe, we wouldn't be calculating in square miles. All right, you're on an endless grid, and it's representative of that honeycomb. That's the grid. That's the Masonic checkerboard. So when you go in the beehive, they have their earth plane too. That's the honey. That's the gold. It's the land of milk and honey. The entire earth is the Garden of Eden. See, the tree of life is in the center. That's the North Pole. So we're the beings. We're the bees. If the earth is representative of the honeycombs, then the honey is the manifestations, the work of the bees. Because you notice how they go and gather things out in the nature and come back into the hive to create that honey. So that's the same thing we supposed to be doing. We supposed to be building upon the ground of the earth, enhancing her and aiding her. Just like the ancestors did, they built heaven on earth. They built things on the planet that help the planet. We build things that hurt the planet. So when we work in unison with the earth, we actually help the earth. The earth has feelings. The earth love it when we do good and we not polluting it. Like I said, everything has consciousness, so the earth love it when we enjoy her. That's what the creator built it for. And if we take care of her, like I said, she'll take care of us. And the queen bee sits in the middle of the hive. That's where all the energy run in the middle of the earth. You notice that everything is centered around the queen bee. All of the activity in the hive is the reason that everybody get up in the morning in the hive, is to go out and please the queen. And the queen pleases everybody else by keeping the species going. Just like if we please the earth and don't pollute her, we can keep our children living here for generations to come and keep our species going. Man has caused a lot of plant life and stuff to go extinct. So we have to preserve the earth and take care of her, so she take care of us. As above, so below. Just like that queen bee. If she go, the whole hive go. Again, a symbiotic relationship, as above, so below. Take care of me, I take care of you. That's all it is, the golden rule. So that's the significance of the golden rule. And that's why it's called the golden rule. It's linked to this whole system that I'm telling you about with the honeycomb and the bee cosmology. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That's just as above, so below from a law standpoint, from a political standpoint. So you can see how the ancestors ran a whole society based on the law of the cosmology, even when it came to politics and everything. That's why they didn't need police, because their whole politics system was as above, so below. Do unto me as I do unto you, and vice versa. So you didn't need police in a society where the golden rule was law. See, if the golden rule was law, then that just means as above, so below in our politics. I'm sorry, but there is no justice. Today's world, you can kill somebody, and if you got enough money, you can get off of it. So the law of the cosmology doesn't govern the earth anymore. And that's why we in mayhem, because we on a Helios cosmology and not the mama, all right? She is the hive. People will say that this is feminism and that it takes the man out the picture, but really it puts everything back in perspective. We're in a matriarch, and we got to understand that, okay? The man is very important, just like the moon is very important. There's not one that's not important, because if you take either away, the whole system will fail. That's how important everything is. Even the ant on the ground is important, even though you may look at him small. So that's what the man going through here. You got to get over your ego, man. Okay, you're not better than mama, all right? The whole thing that the man is supposed to be doing is enforcing the woman's power. The woman hold the power. She hold the baby in the womb. She has the power to either permit the life or destroy the life. She can let the baby suck off her breast and feed it, or she can cut him away from that nipple. She holds the power. The daddy can't breastfeed or sustain that baby. All babies are at the mercy of that mother for their life and their existence. Now the man plays a key role because he gives the spark. When you think about what I said, that the man is the key role and the key is the phallus, it sticks out. So the woman is the keyhole. If the man is the key role, then the woman is the keyhole. And that's really deep, brothers and sisters, because the keyhole is always made before the key, all right? There wouldn't even be a need for the key if the hole wasn't there. So again, the woman come first. So we see this acting out on all levels. Y'all know how I like to do it. I like to show you on all levels. If all men went extinct, the women will be able to reproduce again. We got to understand that the whole concept of the immaculate conception is that the first women on this earth had the first men by way of immaculate conception. That's when the Y chromosome came into being. It's proven that the X chromosome is dominant, and the oldest bones that was found on this planet was always female bones. And we talking about on every continent. Now, for anybody that want to call me a feminist or a homo or any of that, that's fine. But it don't change these facts. It don't change these historical facts and this ancient cosmology that I'm putting out here. All you're doing is letting your ego show. I'm just trying to get the truth back out there. That's all. It's not hard to see how the woman is divine. The word diva itself originates from the word divine. So how is this hard to see, my brothers? Why can't we kneel back to the mama and put her back on the throne? It ain't hard to see how she divine. If we quit trying to compete with the woman, men, because that's when you get homosexual. That's when you get all full of ego and acting like a little boy, a little baby, because you can't respect mama's divinity. Stop trying to compete with the woman and enforce her power, brother. Don't compete with her. All of these male animals do they little dances to impress the woman. Listen, man, it's okay to cater and honor to her. That's why we destroying the planet today, because the people who in charge are males who have a thing against the woman or the feminine aspect. So they have no problem destroying Mother Earth and chopping down forests and polluting her waters, just like they have no problem blaspheming the woman in their religious texts and in their cosmology. It's a man's world today, and that's why the world's so effed up. The woman is more organized. She think more ahead in the future. The man is more mechanical. We gotta keep it real. The woman is more intuitive, but there's a balance here. The man is supposed to take the woman's intuition and enforce it. So for example, the woman come up with a beautiful, elegant idea of this awesome castle, and a man can go out there and build that castle for her, but he can't think of a more beautiful, elegant design than that woman. Everything in nature is feminine. When you look at the spiral and you look at how everything is created in nature, it's feminine. So understand that when you look at that X, you just looking at the spiral. That's all the X is. Because if you look at the swastika, that's just when you draw the lines out from the X, and you can really see that it's just the spiral. It's the Milky Way. The Milky Way galaxy is a deception. The Milky Way galaxy is just NASA showing you the vortex at the North Pole. They know that that vortex resonates with us people, so they can give us these fake illustrations of these galaxies, and we can take it without even researching it and believe it, and we just know it's real without even researching it. Even though they tell us it's theory, even though they tell us it's a drawing, we don't research it and we believe it, and we take it to the bank because they use the type symbols that resonate with us, just like I told y'all with the cosmic eye, just like I'm showing you with the football field and how all of this stuff play out in our reality. They using the symbols that resonate with you, but they throwing you off from the the real meaning. You can't see the real meaning till you look at it mature. And like I said, mature with respect for the feminine. The secrets won't be revealed to an ego-filled dude who thinks he needs to exalt himself above his mother. That's blasphemy. All right. So understand that when we look at this hive, we talking about the cosmos, and that the queen bee is representative of the earth. Notice how all the bees take care of the queen bee, and the queen bee take care of all of the bees. She keep on making more bees. She keep the life going. The earth will keep the life going if we take care of her. She will always grow us tomatoes and apples and strawberries, and she's gonna always do that for her precious beings. But what we're gonna do, continue to pollute her while the sanctuary is coated in gold? Come on, people. We forgot we in the hive and we not taking care of the queen bee. She's not gonna be able to take care of us much longer, people. We taking care of man theology more than we taking care of the truth what the ancestors left. Gold, okay? That's the honeycombs where we hone ourselves. When you look at the word honey, the first 4 words is hone, because that's what you're doing, and you're honing yourself. And if you go do your research on what a hone is, it's actually a car part that's shaped just like the tip of this beetle or this bee goddess, and it's also a tool that's used to sharpen a blade. But like I said, it's also a car part that's got little hexagon shapes on it like these honeycombs, and is used in like the cylinder. So y'all better start to see how deep this stuff is. Now it even shaped a lot of words in our vocabulary. You create gold when you do that. See, your works on this earth gonna shine like them golden honeycombs. Honey is the equivalent of gold, people, and it never decays. All right, honey lasts forever. It never decays. It never spoils. It's the equivalent of gold. So just like we are beings in this cosmic hive doing the work of the queen bee, creating this gold, manifesting her ideas and enforcing her law, creating this heaven, as above so below. The divine feminine created it. Now us beings got to follow suit and hop on board and play our part in this cosmology and help continue build heaven on earth like the ancestors was doing. Right now we're building hell on earth, and when we say hell, the first 2 letters is he. Okay, because we in a he world where the man theology rule and the sun created the earth. All right, so you in hell, you in a he world where it's been flipped upside down. Now everybody say the world flipped upside down, but when I tell them why is the man ruling the world and not the woman, they argue with that, but they still say the world flipped upside down. If we flip it over, then the woman will be ruling, right? So let's do that. And let's get everything back on track. The ancestors showed us how it go. The woman set the law and the man enforced it. So understand that the bee gathers nectar or nectar or nature and creates gold or honey with it. Like we gather things in nature to manifest things, but we don't manifest them for the earth. Right now, us beings are busy buzzing for rich corporations who don't care if the hive get destroyed, and they make us busy or buzzy with everything else. So here we are buzzing around destroying our hive and not acknowledging the queen bee. If she die, we die. We too busy praying to the Father, which is nothing but the Pope. And when you accept the Pope's ideology, you will accept the dumb idea that the earth was made from the sun or that the woman was made from man's rib. Until we get back to the true matriarch cosmology, our hive is not going to operate properly. The queen bee must be revered again, man. Doesn't mean that you got to become women. It just means that you got to understand the divinity of this cosmology and understand his matriarch system and your role in it. He enforces the law of the divine feminine, men. Think about it. We are the archangels that they speak about, your Michelangelo and your Raphael. We're the army of the Most High, men. We're her army. We're the enforcers. We're those fighter bees that's outside of the hive that'll risk their life if you try to do anything against that hive. They'll risk their life protecting that queen bee. A bee know if it sting you, it will die, but they don't care. They will sting you and die to protect that queen. Why are our men cowards today? Why you think our women getting beat down by our men and smacked around, kicked in the stomach when they pregnant, and men just, they got Liberty Boy boys on camera beating little bitty newborn babies and all this desecration of the woman going on, how she being prostituted in front of the camera, and the divine feminine is just completely under attack. If y'all can't see that, then you just won't never see it. Part of this earth getting back on track is you respecting her divinity, understanding the divine feminine. I don't care how much red, black, and green you got on either. All of you Hotep Kemetic people are being bamboozled and deceived, and you're perpetuating lies that many of our teachers been telling for years. Now they laid the foundation, but we gotta take that work to the next level. All we doing is running in circles. Nobody can see this stuff that I'm telling you here, and it's plain and simple right in your face. It's plain and simple. Now let's move on. So just to hop back to the Merkaba, again, when you form your Merkaba, you got your hourglasses on each side, but what forms your hourglasses is, again, your two X's. So some people say XY or XX is really the X or the Y chromosome, but there you go again on the side of your Merkaba, your XX, again, your divine feminine, which makes it all possible, that divine feminine energy. So that's your dos equis, your two X's right there. So we've been teaching that this Dogon symbol meant that we are from Sirius and that we are some snake people, and I'm showing y'all right now that the only thing significant about the snake, it's the S. It's the vortex energy, the spiral. It's the S that divides the yin yang. It's the S or the essence to everything, okay? That wave energy. The Merkaba has 6 points. Those 6 points are significant, people, because those 6 points are what goes into the 360 to square itself out again. And the square again is the 360. The square has 4 corners, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and that equals 360. So the square and the circle are polarities of each other, like the sun and the moon represent the same thing. Balance is as within, so without. Those 6 points, if you take your line and draw it out and trace those 6 points around, you'll get a 360 or another hex, because the hex ain't nothing but another 360. Again, the hex is the cube also. The cube is the box, 4 corners with the square. It's all the same, people. So the Merkaba is the cube and the sphere. It's just different polarities of each other. So the cube can be seen as the triangle that's pointed down, and the sphere can be seen as the triangle that's pointed up. It's just a different form of the polarity. It's both making a 360. It's hidden inside of the Merkaba, the higher and lower of that same thing. Like I said, lower is not bad. It's the balance. Everything balances itself out in this polarity. It's a layered energy. So what you see physically is just a projection, a result of all of these layers or all of these elements intersecting. It's hidden in the heart of the Merkaba, the circle and the square and the cube and the sphere, and the 6 points around it. When you look at the 6, that's just that spiral again. That's just that vortex energy, okay? So all of them 6 points forms a circular type vortex around this Merkaba, and you can even make a swastika with this thing if you start getting real deep with it. But like I said, what's deep about this Merkaba is that no matter what side you look at it on, the opposing side is always mirrored. So it's as above, so below, no matter how you look at it. And that's the same thing with the shape of a square and a circle. So all of these symbols are telling us the same thing. It's the polarity that creates the midpoint in order for you to be here. So when both of those triangles connect, you get to exist in the middle point, which would be representative of that hexagon. That's where it all happens. So if you want to look at it from our cosmological standpoint, we exist in the midpoint on that earth plane where the heavens meet the underworld. It always happens in the midpoint. As I said, we're mediums. So again, when you look at this 6-pointed star, you're only looking at the Merkaba. You're only looking at the Dogon symbol. If you look at this Dogon symbol, and if you count the points on this Dogon symbol, you will see that it's just another form of them making the 6-pointed star. We've been bamboozled about what this Dogon star means. It's just another form of the 6-pointed star. And if you look at it, it's telling you the same message that the Merkaba or the 6-pointed star telling you. as above, so below. Negative, positive. So if I gotta have negative, I gotta have positive. When you look at positive, it ain't nothing but two negatives put together. And negative is just lacking one of the bars. Just like it go back to the Y and the X chromosome. The man would be the negative. He lacking one of the bars. The woman would be the positive, the full symbol. So when you look at the X, if you flip it around, it's the plus sign because the woman is the positive. The male is the negative or the line. That's why he got a penis that's shaped like the negative or the line. The woman is the opening, the womb, the spiral, the plus sign. Because when you take that plus sign and go to spinning it, you get the swastika or the Milky Way or the vortex or the cyclone. That same energy at the North Pole, okay? And you can see this sets happening there because you got the pole penetrating this spiral right here in our cosmic egg, all right? The 6 or the 9, the 6 is just the polarity of the 9. So like when you look at a 3, its polarity would be the alphabet E. All right, all of these numbers and alphabets are symbols. So what you got to understand is that the 6 and the 9 is what make the yin yang. Both of those are the divine feminine vortex energy because the 6 and the 9 stuck together just make a spiral or a womb or an X. So this plays back to what I was telling y'all. So the 9 is the spiral, which is the vagina, and the line is the penis. The female positive, male negative. And that goes back to what I was telling you about the feminine and the masculine. So the feminine, that 9 at the end is the spiral, the womb, and then your masculine. But even the masculine comes from the ma. That's why it's called the masculine. And this is all the work of a divine feminine who's splitting up herself into a polarity. Like I said, a man come as a result of the woman splitting herself, okay, taking a piece of her X and breaking it and creating something totally new. But she never lost a leg. That's why it's called an immaculate conception, because she created man out of her abundance, people. When we look at the X, it's infinite. She can create whatever she want out of that. The possibilities are endless, okay? It can all come out of her womb because it is the infinite. It's the number of infinity. When we talk about X, when it's used in math, it's used to state the unknown. I don't know if y'all know this, but the unknown simply means infinity. That's God. That's the question mark. In Batman, the Riddler, he's the bad guy. He's playing God because he the Joker. And in order for you to get the answers, you got to ask the questions. And the questions lead you on a quest to defeat the Joker. And now when you get all these questions answered, when you put the two question marks together, because like I said, everything got a polarity. So if you have one question mark this way and you got to turn the other question mark the other way, which would represent how the answer would look. So it starts with the question. The answer would be the polarity to that, the yin to the yang. And when you put them both together, like I've been showing y'all how I've been putting all of this stuff together, then you get the light bulb, or what many call the key, okay? The light now is the idea that's based on the knowledge. So I asked the question and I got the knowledge and the answers. Now what I'm gonna do with the answer? Okay, now that answer gave me an idea. Now I wanna go invent something based on this knowledge that I received. So now I got an idea. Now I'm gonna go invent a car, a light bulb based on my quest. I asked the question, I got the answer. Now I get an idea. So that's what happens. The question, the polarity to the question would be the answer. Just like the yin to the yang, the sun to the moon, everything has a polarity. But they don't want y'all to see that. See what happens in the cosmological sense, when they tilt the earth on the axis, they change the polarity. So now it's no longer you looking at this stuff the way I'm showing you, where you seeing both sides, you point it in one way. And that's where we get the popular term One Direction. I think it's even a rock group called One Direction, if I'm not mistaken. But the real true direction is straight up and straight in the middle. In the center of a circle, it will be where that circle in the middle of a CD disc, the center, where the yin meets the yang. Like I said, when they tilted the earth to one direction, they pointed you. they pointed you to either the this or that. So if they point you to either direction, you off balance. Cause long as they got you going left or right, you ain't going forward. The shortest distance to any point is a straight line. That's why everything in nature grow upright, okay, and not leaning. We build buildings upright, not leaning. You walk upright. So when the earth is pointed straight up, it's like that spear I'm showing you with the line straight through it, it give you 50-50. But if you slant it, it's off balance. So understand that that globe is baloney and we're inside of the cosmic egg. And like I'm telling you, this Dogon sign is nothing but the Merkaba. It's everybody expressing this science in their own way, people. But we just been misinformed about what it means to the Dogon. Because people, the Dogon is important because they one of the oldest tribes that's still left on this planet. And you got Europeans going over there interviewing the Dogon and translating to us what the Dogon supposedly said, but it ain't what the Dogon said. Once again, we believe in liars. The only way we'll know what the Dogon say is like I'm telling y'all, do diligent research and learn your own self. All you got to do is take that Dogon symbol and start researching the hell out of it until you get your questions answered. But you don't want to do that. You want to accept what the European journalists telling you and believe you're a snake person who came light years away from Sirius constellation. That is sci-fi. Then they take the same concept and baloney that they sold y'all and turn around and make movies out of it in Hollywood, and y'all flock to the theater to see it because they done sold you this lie. Now they can turn around and sell it right back to you in the theater because you don't know your own history, because you won't do the research, because you don't see that this symbol that's on top of the Dogon head ain't nothing but the sacred beetle that they had in ancient Kemet. It's nothing but the ancient honeybee that we had in ancient Kemet. It's not no Sirius or no Orion. I told you the only connection it has to Orion is the astrological sense. The symbol meant the same thing to all of our ancestors. They drew it out different. They had the beetle, they had the bee, they had this symbol that you see with the Dogon, they got the Merkaba, they got the yin yang. It's all the same thing, as above, so below. It's only one code to this cosmic egg, and I'm telling you right here how simple it is. It all creates the 360 or the spiral or the vortex or the continuum that keeps everything going. So that's what I'm telling you, y'all. When you look at the Merkaba, you just looking at a circle, all right? Because when you draw a zero, you drawing an X. X means zero, unknown. That means infinity. All right, that's infinity. The zero is really the highest number in the system because the zero is the 360. It's the spiral. It's the place where everything recreate. That's where eternity happens. So that's where we get terms like ground zero, because this earth plane is where it all happens. This is where existence take place. Remember, the X chromosome forms the Merkaba, your mothership that's allowing you to be here on ground zero or planet X. All right. So the zero is the spiral. It's a vortex like a tornado. If you're looking at the inside of a tornado from the top view, you wouldn't see a triangle. You would be looking inside of a circle with a bunch of spirals in it. Then you'll see a point at the very end where it forms on the ground, where it contacts that point of singularity where the tornado meets the ground. All right. That would be a dot where it's destroying the ground. But if you was looking in on it from a top view, you will see a spiral. It'll be like looking in like a slinky or something, or looking in a sink drain. That's what you will be looking at, like a vortex. All of that is the circle. That's a circle. That's what's represented with the 360. You can represent it as the cube or the square too. It's all the same formula. So the square is nothing but the swastika. Like I said, if you connect all of the lines on the swastika, you will get the square. Just like you got a higher self and lower self, the circle's polarity would be the square, or vice versa. Their polarities like the sun and moon, but they have to be together in balance, just like that battery, that positive, that negative, to create this Merkaba, telling you the same thing. Like I said, it's the Dogon sign too. It's 6 points. You will always see the as above, so below. All of that mean is that spring energy. As above, so below. Spring, fall, summer, winter. The dual nature of it all. Above, below. Hot, cold. lower you, higher you. The midpoint is what creates eternity or existence. So it can't be either or. They both have to work in unison for everything to even be able to be meshed together to create reality itself. So people, we being bamboozled with all of this spookism. It's very simple. So us beings are in this hive providing for the queen bee, and in return, she's gonna provide for us. We're not slaves. People like to say bees are slaves and they're worker slaves. And these same people go to job and be happy to get overtime to make a corporation rich. But when I tell them something like this, they'll tell you, so we'll slave to God, we'll slave to the earth. You doggone right. I would love to be a slave to the divine mother. I have no problem giving Big Mama her props, because Big Mama take care of us every day and grow us apples and fruits. And you ain't a slave when you bite into that pineapple. You ain't a slave when you bite into that fruit. The earth produces all of this stuff that we enjoy, but we produce nothing for the earth but pollution and all of this corruption and factories putting chemicals in the air. The earth produces everything we enjoy, all of this good stuff, and in return, all we do is destroy the earth and get mad at a person like me when I try to put the earth back in its proper place so we can leave a better place behind for our children. You rather go out there and accept the crap what NASA telling you, and I'm telling you it's baloney, showing you what the ancestors said, but you will still go out there and listen to somebody like Neil deGrasse Tyson like a fool. Now I'm trying to free your mind. Now understand that when you say the word feminine, you're talking about the feminine. Talk about the nine. Understand that we talking about that vortex again. It's nothing but a spiral. The 6 is the same. So when we look at the 6 and the 9, you can look at it like spring and fall. You can look at the 6 as the part of the slinky that you press down on to give it its strength. When you let it go and it spring back up, you can look at that as the 9. Up, down, 6, 9. This stuff is real simple, y'all. The numbers are just symbols. The 6 is nothing but the fall energy. The 9 can be looked at as when you looking at the medical symbol and we talking about all this serpent wisdom. I'm telling it to you now. It's the same wisdom of a slinky. All right. The ancestors did it in this very divine way. We've just made it too deep. I told y'all about this in the Drake video about how everything happened by the balancing of these two opposite spirals. The way these two waves travel, they create a line in the middle that you see on the symbol. Like I said, this spiral is where we get the word spiritual. I told y'all that way back in the Drake video. To be spiritual is to understand this spiral ritual that all of the ancients knew. What I'm telling you right now is so simple, people. See, in the ancient world, kids and everybody knew this stuff. It was so simple. Now you got adults tuning in to YouTube just like how I had to learn it. And it took me years to even understand it. I was in La La Land for along the way, but I was still growing and learning. You get all the pieces you need to the puzzle as you grow. But like I said, ancient world, all the kids knew. Today we gotta come back and learn it. So you know it when you understand the simplicity of it, when you ain't overcomplicated and getting into spookism. All of that is to anoint a certain few with the knowledge. If I can keep y'all guys in spookism, then y'all will always be the students and not the teacher. Because the knowledge that I would be giving you will come from a barrier of fear. There's strings attached to it where I'm saying if you don't believe what I'm saying or if you disagree with what I'm saying, something gonna happen to you. Like maybe you'll be cursed or maybe something will happen. At the end of the day, it's spookism if what I'm saying, I'm telling you something gonna happen to you if you don't agree with it or go with it, or I label you because you think differently. All right, keep that in mind. The polarity of feminine is masculine. Feminine, which is the 9, is the vortex energy. That's the 2 snakes. And then you got your masculine. The line is the pole that those 2 snakes are wrapped around. Again, the line is the obelisk or the male's phallus or the penis that need to penetrate those 2 snakes. So when you look at the medical sign, you can see that these snakes are wrapped around this line, or you can say that this line is penetrating these 2 snakes, okay? So this is the feminine and masculine yin yang that you looking at. So when we look at the Merkaba, that's another form of how it play out with you being here and how your body used this same science to come into being. But when we talk about the yin yang, we talking about how the sun and moon use this same pattern to create the energy of the cosmic egg via night and day, with giving us the electrical circuit that we experience here. Another way this play out is at the North Pole, like I said, with the magnetic energy, you got a positive and negative. One of those snakes is positive, one of those snakes is negative. The line in the middle represents the meeting point, or that balance point, that grounding point, when they balance themselves out, and that's where the eternity is created. A straight line represents that eternal point, but it won't be there. The straight line won't exist without the coming together of those two forces. The divine feminine controls both of them. So what you're looking at is when she make the X, which is eternity, she takes one Y that's turned upwards and there's another Y that's turned downward. When she stick those two together, then you get the X with this line in the middle. So if you take a X and draw a line straight through the middle of the X, that's what you're looking at when you look at this medical symbol. It's the same thing, as above, so below. This how this energy works. It's playing itself out on every way. So with the feminine and the masculine, you can see how the 9 is them two snakes, and the masculine is the line that is a result of those polarities balancing out. Now you get a midpoint. Just like that battery again, one side is negative, one side is positive. Because they balance themselves out, or they balance themselves out, they can have a battery, which gives us power, okay? This is how this vortex works out, this spiral energy. Don't let the language confuse you. So understand that the pole is the penis, but the pole wouldn't exist without the woman. So when you go to a strip club and you see the women dancing around the pole, that's actually a ritual, people. When you at the strip club and you see the woman dancing around the poles, that's actually this ritual that we see in front of us. None of this stuff is coincidence. I keep telling y'all to learn how to decipher your reality. It represents those two snakes, or that double X, that feminine creating that pole energy. The man come from the woman's vagina. So what am I telling you? That the woman actually created the penis. The woman actually created the man. All right. Now the man played a part in creating life, but you can see that the man gives the spark. The woman already have all of her eggs in her, and every egg is a cosmic egg. It's a Merkaba. So we're going to get deep into that aspect in a future video. We just want to understand the concept right now. Keep that in mind, the feminine and the masculine. The balance. That's the battery of life, where we get the power from, this duality, this polarity that we see acted out all in nature. So the body is made the same way. The DNA is made the same way. Like I said, the body is composed of the DNA, and the DNA, if you look at it, is nothing but the vortex energy. Like I said, you are a projection of this divine feminine energy. When you look at this vortex, or this medical symbol, you can see the X in it. At every intersection represents your X again. That's your X chromosome. If you break it, it becomes a Y on the end. All right, an opening. This divine feminine is at play in our reality, and we need to understand it. So the DNA creates the body. The physical you is created by this vortex energy, this DNA structure that you can only see on a smaller form. So goes back to what I'm saying, as above, so below. You are a projection. There's no such thing as an amount. If you take this small DNA away, we won't even be able to see your body, the physical you. You are only an emanation of all of this stuff at play, and all of these vibrations, fast vibration, slow vibration, balancing each other out. High vibration, low vibration, balancing itself out. The DNA balancing itself out with this yin yang dance, with this spiral. It all works together to project you here. Like they said, you are technically a bunch of atoms spinning. You're a hologram, basically. So like I'm showing you, the body is composed of this holographic type vortex energy that they looking at under the microscope, calling it the DNA, okay? And the DNA actually creates the body. It's the program. It's the software. It's that spiraling software that everything in nature is formed off. Again, even at the tip of the head, how your hair is formed from the spiral, how all the plants grow from a spiral. We can't escape this. And like I said, a Milky Way galaxy is baloney. There is no Milky Way. That's just another symbol for this vortex energy that I'm showing you. And NASA know that, but they deceiving y'all. Outer space is a hoax, people. It's all inner space. That's what they want to keep you away from. The DNA creates the body out of cosmic memory. Because when you look at this DNA, it's the same vortex energy we see at the pole. It's the same vortex energy we see acted out on every cosmic layer. So it manifests itself in the form of DNA, and it holds the memory on how to create the body. And it keeps doing that. It keeps manifesting itself in this Merkaba coming to this earth plane. And that's called infinity, eternity. And it's going to keep doing it. But the only way it can be hell is when you come here and then you experience the reality different. And that's what I've been telling y'all about perception. There is no other heavens outside of this one. All the ancients believed in reincarnation. If reincarnation is real and we destroying this planet like this and we got to keep coming back here, we'll have a totally different attitude about polluting this planet and the way we treat each other. If we knew that we was going to keep reincarnating to this earth, we'll let our differences go. When you realize you got to live together for eternity and you realize that this earth ain't going nowhere and this your eternal home, we'll start building the different world that we want to see out there in space right here on earth. That heaven that y'all hooping, hollering about in the sanctuary, we'll start creating that heaven right here on earth. And it's a shame to me that everything in front of us is the works of the mighty creator. And we ignore all of that and go up in the sanctuary and open up a book made by a homosexual named King James and cry and shout. And we drive right by the waterfall and throw paper out the window. Don't even care nothing about the creation that the Most High really made. We care more about the imagination, the imaginary creation. This pastor telling you that you're gonna go to the streets of gold and all of that, and you pass right by that beautiful waterfall outside and you curse the earth and say that God gonna throw it in a lake of fire and blaspheme this place, and you want to get away from it because the people telling you that they building their mansions here. They love this place. If they can get you to feel that way about it, then they can go build factories and run it and take control of it, because you telling everybody you going back the Sirius star system. You telling everybody you going back to some heaven out there in the universe. You telling everybody, you know, we come from Venus or we live on Mars, so they can do what they want with this earth. And when we die, our children got to deal with this problem. But I'm taking my behind to Sirius. When I die, I'm gonna go to the fifth dimension. Nobody want to deal with this reality, but we got to leave it behind for our children. It's not fair, grown-ups. We got to get out of this spooky type stuff that's out here and all of this crap that's circulating. It ain't real knowledge. Well, how is that going to help our children looking for stargates and all of this hocus pocus spookism crap? I'm telling you the simple science right now that we need to free our minds. This will put the woman back in her place and get the earth back the way it need to be going. Only thing we know for sure is that this earth is real. We don't know about no other heavens or no Sirius star planets and all of that. Only thing we can prove is that this earth is real. And if our ancestors was right, which they was right about everything else, and if they was right about reincarnation, we really in trouble the way we corrupting this planet. We really need to turn it around if we gonna be here, if this gonna be our eternal dwelling. That'll put a lot in perspective. We see why the ancestors took so much care of the earth and why they built the way they did on this planet and respected the animals and everything like they did, because they knew that everything had to be here in this heavenly abode for eternity. You don't travel nowhere else to heaven. You create heaven based on your state of consciousness. So every time man learn more about this cosmology and about this cosmic egg, and the more man learn and explore this place, and the more lifetimes and the more he journey to this place, and the more he connect with it, the more he create better worlds. So you can see over time ancient cities getting badder and badder, but somewhere along the way we got corrupted and the feminine aspect was took off the throne, and now we in Helios or hell, and the first two words again is he, and we got to get back to the feminine, the masculine, because even when you say male it starts with ma. Even when you say masculine it's masculine. So the world really need to be balanced, and in order to do that everyone us understand the matriarchal principles that we are under. That's the law of the cosmos, all right? This matriarch system that we live in, that's the law, people. When we say divine feminine, many males don't like it because they feel like we should say the divine feminine and divine male. That's not the case. The creator is a feminine being. Why do we say that? Because the feminine is the only being that can create the feminine and the masculine, all right? If we say that the creator is a male, well, a male can't do that. We understand that God has to be the complete symbol, meaning the X, not the Y. And there's no need to say the X and the Y, because when you say the X, you're saying the Y plus Y. So it's all inside of the X. So when you say the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the yin yang symbol is the equivalent of the X. Okay, the X and the yin yang is the same symbol. As you can see, when you look at the X, you're just looking at two triangles opposing each other, 50-50. Just like you looking at the yin yang, you looking at a circle that's cut in half, 50-50. 50-50, y'all. Just keep that in mind, and it'll always make it simple. 50-50, as above, so below. So when you look at the X, you looking at 50-50, and you looking at both of the Y's. The man gets his honor through the honor of the divine feminine. That's why in a marriage he gets on his knees, and when the woman say I do, he gets his honor through that. The divine feminine will always accept you long as you kneel on your knee and accept her divinity. But if you stand up and try to give her the ring equal to her, that's not humbling yourself to her divinity. So that's the point of you getting on your knee and understanding that she is the X, she is the Y and the X. She's the yin yang and the complete symbol, whereas the Y is just one part of it, but the Y is part of the symbol. So it's all in all. You need them both, but the X can do without the Y. And that's where the man feel like he's insignificant when he shouldn't feel that way, because the companionship, the woman created the man. She wouldn't have created the man if she didn't want the companionship. We're magnetic creatures. We love one another. So I think if you asked all women, do they want to get rid of all men, they would say heck no, and vice versa, because they created you for a reason. Why would they want to get rid of you? So understand that the Bible say the woman was created for Adam's companionship. It's backwards. The woman created man through the immaculate conception for her companionship. And by doing that, she only created a polarity of herself. So the sun and moon are companions. They're in a marriage, just like the man and woman, okay? And it all happens inside of this divine feminine, or this cosmic egg, this hive. And it has to start from the divine feminine, because that's the X. It all has to come from completion. It has to start from a place of totality. And when we look at the X, it's supposed to mean nothing. They say, how do you make something from nothing? Well, that's essentially what the divine feminine did. She took the X, which they say is used to represent nothing, but the reason they say the X represent nothing is because their foolish concept of space. There's no such thing as nothing. All of the darkness you see in the night sky is the cosmic womb of the divine feminine. Just like a baby that's coming out of his mother womb and birth will see darkness until he exits his head out of that hole. That's the real Stargate, if you want to look at a Stargate, all right? Not this hocus pocus stuff they got you looking at. So understand that this gate brings you to the mother, the big mama, which is the cosmic egg, and you come from your mama, which is a smaller mama of the big mama. Her macabre makes another macabre, which is you. She's able to do that because she is the complete macabre. She is the X, the macabre, the as above, so below. So the man can have his own macabre, but only his can't give birth. There's a limit to his. His don't make breast milk, okay? So she's the original macabre, all right? Understand that. And ain't nothing wrong with that, man, because where we can't create another life out of our flesh, where we come in handy is with our part of the 50-50 is that we enforce things for the woman. The woman can't go out there and build a house like a man can, even though she can have a better design than a man, because women are more, that's a feminine aspect. When you go in the nail shop and you see all the good designs on the nails and stuff, the women are real creative and artistic. So the man can take those artistic ideas from the woman to the next level because he can manifest those ideas. That's why he's called a man, because he takes the idea of the divine feminine and enforces it. He manifests it. So that's what was happening in the ancient world. We was taking the idea as above and manifesting it so below. All right. And that's where the man come in. He builds her world, man. That's where the term come in, where a man say, woman, I'll give you the world. That's because the men are the builders. We're the ones who go out and build the world. The woman is the architect. She lay the building design out, and the man go make it happen. The man go out there and build it, okay? He build the world. She writes the law, and he makes sure that it's enforced. That's our job, man, and that's a beautiful duty. We get to enforce the law of the divine feminine. How honorable is that, man? We don't need to compete for her divinity or compete with her. We just need to play our role. We got a real divine role, and each role, everything in nature role is needed. The divine feminine didn't create nothing that wasn't needed. So everybody should feel significant. All right? It's balance. It's the balance of everything, people.